The Bill and Kelly Show is recorded at Studio A at Executive Suite Squared in beautiful Hammond, Indiana. Now, here's Bill and Kelly. Hello, welcome to the Bill and Kelly Show. Our guest with us today is Vivian Probst, who is going to be talking about her new book. That is kind of in alignment with an important date that's coming up, a anniversary, if you will, of the women's right to vote. So let me talk to you, give you some review and history here. Beginning in the 1800s, women organized, petitioned, and picketed to win the right to vote, but it took them decades to accomplish their purpose. Between 1878, when the amendment was first introduced in Congress, and August 18, 1920, when it was ratified, champions of voting rights for women worked tirelessly, but strategies for achieving their goals varied. Some pursued a strategy of passing suffrage acts in each state. 9 Western states adopted women's suffrage legislation by 1912. Others challenged male-only voting laws in the courts. Militant suffragists used tactics such as parades, silent vigils, and hunger strikes. Often supporters met fierce resistance. Opponents heckled, jailed, and sometimes physically abused them.
By 1916, almost all of the major suffrage organizations were united behind the goal of a constitutional amendment. When New York adopted women's suffrage in 1917 and President Wilson changed his position to support an amendment in 1918, the political balance began to shift. On May 21, 1919, the House of Representatives passed the amendment, and 2 weeks later the Senate followed. When Tennessee became the 36th state to ratify the amendment on August 18, 1920, the amendment passed its final hurdle of obtaining the agreement of 3/4 of the states. Secretary of State Bainbridge Colby certified the ratification on August 26, 1920, changing the face of the American electorate forever.
So, teacher,
Yes.
Did we do good?
Awesome. Time to party.
Do we get a star? So there you are. We're coming up on the anniversary of the women's right to vote. A very important time in our history.
100 years, baby.
Yeah, and it often is amazing every time I go through that how long it took and what tireless efforts took to get that accomplished. And so, Vivian, welcome to our show again. And we'd love to hear about this new book of yours that you have planned to come out here in the near future, kind of aligned with the anniversary of the women's right to vote, the 19th Amendment. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I'm so excited because this book is written in a form of English that I believe gender balances our language. And as I'm a linguist by education, and as I've studied English, I know some people would think that's terribly boring, but I find it fascinating.
Wow.
I have studied how much English bends words towards masculine words, and even words that describe us as women attach us to men. So I have written my book in what I call Winglish, which is to gender balance English. And I've had so much fun doing it. And I just hope it helps, because I think the hue and cry in our country, and perhaps even indeed in our world, is for true equality. And I believe that if we don't have equality with words, it's very hard to create equality. So my book, The Woman Who Forgot Who She Was, is written in what I call Winglish, and you'll notice a few words spelled differently, and we'll talk about that. But mostly what I did is I took all the words out of English that are driven by masculine spellings, and there are over almost 11,000 words. And so I only use masculine words when I'm talking about a man. And any other words that we use that typically have a male spelling, those are all gone. And I'm hoping in that process to balance English. And the way I'm presenting it is in a novel, a series of novels called The Woman Who Forgot Who She Was. And those will be available on Amazon and on my website, vivianprobst.com. I'd like to say something, if I could, about this, the state of Tennessee and how close we came to never getting the right to vote. I don't know if your listeners are aware, and I've emphasized this to my daughter and to my family, that it came down to one vote.
Oh, wow.
In the state of Tennessee, and it almost did not happen. But there was one man whose mother sent him a note before the vote. Oh, that rhymed. The note before the vote.
That's right.
And told him, please, for my sake, vote yes. So right during the voting, he changed his vote. And they did all this by color association with roses. So those who were against women's rights to vote wore red roses, and those who were for it wore yellow roses. And he took his red rose out of his pocket. This just gives me goosebumps.
Yes,
I want you just to imagine. He took his red rose out and he changed his vote in favor of women's rights to vote. And if that had not happened, we would never, ever have accomplished that vote. So
I knew there was a reason I liked yellow roses better than red roses.
So it sounds like this whole tipping point is owed to his mother.
Mom.
Yes.
It basically was a virtual grabbing him by the ear and saying, "You are okay." I'm imagining my own mother how she addressed the issue with me, as well as Sister Rosarita, which we won't. But at any rate, that's so. Basically, it was her encouraging her son to pass
to
this.
consider me a human being as well. Yeah.
Boy.
Yes.
Sounds
and
like there should be a monument for her somewhere.
Yes, there should be, actually.
Yeah, and I just want everyone to know that, my goodness, it was so close that we really have cause to celebrate.
Yes,
so in my celebrating, I decided I wanted to honor women, those of us who are not men, equally as we honor men, by giving us some of our own words and by extracting the overpowering reference to that which is not, to men in our language. And so that's why I've taken all those words out. So, for instance, you tell me if you want to interject anything here. I can talk a lot.
That's
and
fine.
I love
That's fine.
talking about this, so I'll just go on and on.
We listen a lot.
That's fine.
So the most common word in English is the. Now, if we spelled the like it sounds, it would be THA, okay? Now, how do we spell the?
THE.
We spell it THE. And so as soon as I caught the first glimmer in my mind that, well, that word spells he, it led me to wonder how many other words in our language, by whatever means that it came to be, relate to men and not women. And then I realized that you can't even speak of women or spell a word related to women without using man words. Right. And that struck me. And so I changed the spelling in my book, The Woman Who Forgot Who She Was. The is spelled THA.
I love it.
Because that's how we say it. And then I changed woman and spelled it the way it is phonetically pronounced to WOMUN. So the
It's almost like human.
yeah. And you're right, Callie. I've done that with human also. So when you read my stories, you'll see some spelling changes, not a lot. What you won't see are all the words I took out that were so male dominant that that we didn't need them. So I've taken those out, and I have a glossary in the back of the book, and also some education about Winglish. I believe in we. I want my legacy, my life work to be remembered for we. I believe in we quality. And I think we want we quality for sure. So that's and this is a 5-volume series. And so volume 1 should be available on the 26th of August, the anniversary of women's rights to vote.
That's great.
That's what I've been working on.
Yeah.
And
not only that, that speaks to, especially in this day and age, people who are beginning to identify differently as non-gender specific,
yes,
non-binary, I guess they call it. And so that it sounds like a very inclusive language.
it is. And I'm not a scientist, but I know every person has 26 pairs of chromosomes. You can learn that on the internet, so that's where I get my science. So anyway, only 1/2 of one pair determines gender. So mathematically, that's about 5%. So when you think about it, gender is not such a big deal. It's such a small part of who we are. And I think we've gotten all twisted up in a knot. And so I believe we're each a different gender. I believe we each have, just like our chromosomes are different, I believe we each express gender differently. And just because we have 2 primary body types, one that we call man and one that we call woman, W-O-M-U-N, if you don't mind my spelling, that should not dictate anything. It should be equality and each of us being able to express who we are across this broad spectrum. None of us is the same. And whether we have one body part or a different body part should not influence us. And it's just become too important. And we are so much bigger than what we look like physically. So I like the idea of a gender spectrum and the idea that we are each our own unique person, and if you'll allow it, our own unique gender. So that's
beautiful.
That's my little soapbox on gender.
Well, I always thought the word woman was weird anyway. Just growing up, I thought when they were making up this language of English, there was man, and then, women have a womb, so we'll call it woman. And I thought, I don't like that.
Well, the fact that they used MAN at the end is what really triggered me to study all the words that we use to describe women, even a WOMEN, WOMAN. What other words do we use? Female. Oh, that does not appear anywhere in my books. To me, that's just horribly derogatory.
It is.
So I don't use that. And lady, well, the first 3 letters spell lad. And so I don't use that. So I don't know. People may think I've lost my senses, but I think it's my mission to say, look, let's share equally, and even in our language. So it's a lot of work. Let me tell you, it's a lot of work to take out words that are overly masculine and replace them in a story. So, but I have done it as faithfully as I can. And so I guess the next piece of this is the story is a novel. It's a 5 volume novel series. And it is about a woman who literally forgets who she is due to a trauma that she has suffered. So as you're reading in Winglish, you're actually reading about a woman who is coming back to herself. Now, it takes 5 volumes, but that's how the stories came to me. And so I have chosen to keep those volumes intact. So the path that she takes, first of all, they're all emotional paths. And so she starts out in despair. Despair for her, she doesn't remember her trauma. Retrograde amnesia will take a chunk of a person's memory out, and they just won't remember it until maybe suddenly they do. So she doesn't know what's missing from her life. And so she's feeling a great amount of despair because, I don't know, does anyone know what it feels like to feel like a part of you is missing or a part of you isn't real? That's why I titled the book the way I did. And my daughter said, Mom, I don't know of anyone who totally knows who they are. That's why we titled it The Woman Who Forgot Who She Was, because I think most of us have to go back and capture pieces of ourselves that we've lost over time. So in the first volume, she's in despair and she's got to get through her despair. She doesn't know why she's in despair. So she goes on dream journeys. These are all dreams. And she meets characters who actually give her pieces of information. And these characters are the people she's forgotten in her life. She doesn't recognize them at first, right, but all of them play parts. And over the course of 4 volumes, she finally does remember what caused her to forget. And then in the 5th volume, she's able to realign her life with the magnificence of who she really is, because, you know, we are all special. We are all magnificent and brilliant. And we lose that. So this is her coming back to herself.
I love it. I can't wait to
I do
read
too.
it.
I do too.
This absolutely sounds fascinating. So
yes,
it's like these dream sequences that she goes through. She gets clues about who she is along the way, and towards the end,
or
she
helps her remember who she was
yeah,
along the way.
Yeah. So, and the reader follows right along with her, so they get to pick up these bits and pieces along the way, or right along with her.
And hopefully, it'll help them remember parts of who they are themselves.
I mean, what can I say? These stories all came to me in order for me to put pieces of myself back together. So it took, it's a 20-year saga that I've been on. Part of that time was the converting it to Winglish, but I had 4 primary issues in life that I could not resolve. So life gave me stories. So despair is the first one. Overcoming weariness is the second one. The third one is letting go of rage. And the fourth one is letting go of the illusion of who I was told I was, or who I grew up and was taught by my parents and my teachers and other kids to be, to get to that core of who I really am and who we really are. And I think it's just a fascinating and the most important journey that any of us will ever take.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm just,
it makes me feel
awestruck.
So close to these books, because I just moved. I just bought this house in Chesterton. And so I had this huge basement in my old house, and it's one of those things that you just put down there and out of sight, out of mind kind of a thing.
Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have to go through all these different boxes and all these different things. And I'm finding all these memories and all these things that remind me of who I was back in those days. And you forget about so much of that. And it's been such a fun journey going through some of that. I mean, it's also sad in a lot of ways, but also beautiful in a lot of ways. So
literally, some of the storage vaults in the Chicago Field Museum are a lot smaller than
what I had.
the number of volume that she has. So
Yeah, we have a basement and a barn. So wish us luck. I don't think we're moving anytime soon.
I said I'm never moving again.
But it's amazing she has things back. When she was a little one, like especially when her grandma wrote her like these.
Yeah, when I was really, really little, my grandma who lived in Philadelphia. My parents had gone to Europe, so my grandma had me for a couple of weeks in the summer, and it was when the New York World's Fair was going on.
Oh.
And my grandma took me, my grandma and grandpa, and my grandma kept this little book, and I didn't remember anything about it, but she kept this little book, and she wrote it in my words.
Oh,
so it was
that
like
amazing?
Today I got to go
that's
here
amazing.
with grandma, and today, I talked to you on the phone, meaning my parents had called, and it was just so beautiful, and I had forgotten all of these different things, and
so her grandma made a diary for her.
Yes, and
journal.
it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it reminded me of that time in my life when I, just loved being with my grandma and grandpa and having fun and seeing my cousins and, who I was then.
We lose so much of ourselves, I believe, as we grow up. Not everybody does, I suppose, but I've done a lot of study on the impact of early childhood. So, Kaylee, you've got a wonderful treasure there because most of us don't have that. We have pictures maybe, but not the expression of a journal that our grandparent created. So sometimes we have to go back and get those. And so in my stories, they're all fiction. The main character, Avery Victoria Spencer, is not me, but she showed up as a character, and she helped me create these stories that took care of some real issues in my own life that I had lived with for a long time. And it's just delightful to read a story and get a piece of yourself back, kind of thing, So, yeah, she's our trooper, that Avery Victoria Spencer.
I love that woman. Avery
Yeah,
Spencer.
what a modern woman, and what a gift. I really hope that people enjoy reading these stories. Again, I want to emphasize you're going to see a few words spelled differently, but only a few. What you're going to see in the back of each volume is a glossary of words that we've taken out. And so that if that interests you, then you can see the words we chose not to work with as I was writing these stories.
That's very cool.
Yeah. You know what this kind of reminds me of in a way, and I'm sorry if you think this is weird, but they have all these word puzzles now. And where they misspell the word or substitute a letter with a number, or you spell it incorrectly. And they say the people who can actually read those have high intelligence, which, yes, Kelly, I can read them.
Oh, well, I don't know, but relating to that, I will tell you that I used Scrabble.com to come up with all the words that I needed to take out of English to make it gender balanced. You just type the word man in, and I want to clarify that I'm an equalist. I like all genders. But English was so masculine. So all you have to do is go into Scrabble and type in MAN or MEN or HIS or did I say HIM? Anyway, any masculine word, and they will show you every single word, and most of them we don't use. All right, but like 10,000 we do, and so that was part of my journey to get these stories done.
How fun.
So have you gotten any comments from people who have actually read this who may have not, like I said, when you go through these puzzles, you just, for some reason, your mind connects. And do you have people that say they just haven't noticed a difference and just, by reading?
Well, the book is not, as we're recording, the book is not officially out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But on the 26th of August, it will be. But I will tell you, I have readers reading to help me. And here's what's interesting. I love this. I love it when a woman thinks about this for the first time, that English has no words, almost no words for our gender that don't link us to the male gender. And when I see a woman get that and the light goes on, I love that. And that's what I hope for, is that I hope it will help us to feel more equal if we have some words of our own, and in reading a book that has a lot of words that help equalize, I'm hoping all genders will just feel kind of a relief because we're equalizing language.
I like it.
Cool.
I think that's so cool.
So that's my little spiel, and I just hope it blesses the world.
I'm sure.
And makes a difference. That is my motto. All I care about is making a difference in people's lives. I think we all have such gifts, and a lot of us have forgotten. We've forgotten what those gifts are, and we've forgotten who we are.
I'm so glad you chose to share your gift with us.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you for
Beautiful.
allowing this. This has been a 20-year journey, so it's mostly, I'm bursting at the seams now that the first book is coming out.
Coming
I'm
to
just
fruition, this whole thing.
yeah, doing the happy dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are your feelings now? I mean, this is such a great volume of work. You've created this story, but also, in a sense, created your own language that is kind of changing people's minds about the way we think about English language. So, I mean, that's got to be kind of a thrill for you.
Oh, it is. What can I say? It's my life work. It's what has propelled me forward. I have my own consulting business to the affordable housing industry, and I teach tax regulations in my day job. And even there, I feel like I'm given such a gift to tell people they make a difference. So this 20-year saga is got some more life in it because I have to finish these other 4 volumes, which are written now in Winglish, but I have to extract words, and so they'll probably come out every 4 to 6 months is what I'm thinking. I'm over the moon because I'm finishing something that's been on my heart for so long, and I think it's just the right time to bring it out.
Yeah.
I want us all to enjoy words, and I just want us all to get how wonderful we are. That's all I really care about.
I love it.
That's cool. Yeah.
I do. Thank you so much for sharing
thank
this
you.
with us. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. And some of my friends out there now know what they're getting for Christmas.
No, I mean, I'll say this again. The impact that this can have on the LGBTQ community, especially people who have struggled to find their true identity, and now that they could take comfort in having a language that they can feel comfortable because they identify as who they are, and they don't have to be pigeonholed in by a language. So that I think that will have a great impact. Huge
I
impact.
sure hope so.
think
I hope so, because gender is such a small part, and we each have the right to express our gender, and we need a language that also allows that.
Perfect.
Now, can we talk about some of the things that Kelly calls me that are not necessarily gender specific and what those mean?
Oh, well, I haven't been asked that question. Give it a go.
Yeah,
Give it a
because
go.
they've really caused me to
No,
think
they
about
are.
my identity.
They are gender specific in a lot of ways. That's why I make him make me coffee in the morning. I tell him all the
Oh,
time. It's in the Bible, Hebrews.
Oh, yeah. See,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I have had to do with language. Any word with he in it that doesn't have her in it is gone,
Well,
unless I'm talking about a man.
names
Yeah.
such as jackass or moron or those type of things.
I have never called you either of
Oh.
those to his face. To his face.
Yeah, but I always overhear.
All those are
that
removed
jackass.
from
You want
Winglish.
to know what that jackass just did? Yeah.
Those are all out of my novels.
I'm talking
Okay,
about a donkey.
so-
I don't know what you mean.
I don't know what to say. I just. It's
Ignore.
also.
I
but
don't know
you
what
bring
to say.
you bring up a good point that I also want this to be very uplifting.
Hmm.
So if there are words, the one that drops into my head is significant. Okay. I look at that word and it's like, oh, if you break it apart, it's signify I can't. That's not okay with me.
No. Because
So
you can.
in my books, if I use the word, I take the T off.
So you're significant.
Signify I can.
That's
Got
right.
it?
I love
See?
it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And they'll see all those words in the glossary. And so we leave those other words out, and I don't really know what to say about all that.
I love it.
So, yeah, it's an uplift.
It
We
is.
want to uplift at the same time.
Yes. Perfect.
See,
Yeah.
Kelly, uplifting names that uplift people.
Okay.
It's hard when you're married or in a
In a
relationship.
relationship,
Yeah. Well, I
She
do
denies
have.
both,
Complicated.
so there you go. I mean, I'm just left
Well,
out
we're
in the
not
cold.
married. We're in a relationship,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, half the time I don't know if that's true.
Oh, well, I have another book that we could talk about another time
Okay,
called The
good.
Yeah,
Yo-Yo
whenever
Wife.
we have,
Okay, there
when
we
we ever
go.
talk about the subject of homelessness, she stares my way and starts shaking her head. Ah, yes,
Well,
we
what
have
can I
such a
say?
beautiful relationship.
oh,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm on my second marriage and it almost failed, but I learned a secret that had everything to do with what I needed to know. And so I wrote the book, I Was a Yo-Yo Wife Until I Learned This. And you know how quickly my husband changed into the most wonderful man? It was a miracle. It was like magic when I figured out what inside of me might be triggering what he was doing. And it took 8 years to figure it out and practice it, but it really only took 10 minutes to learn. So I adore my husband in a way I never did before. So anyone who's listening, you can get that also on Amazon or on vivianprobst.com. I was a yo-yo wife until I
I'll buy
learned
it.
this. I'm not going to tell you what this is right now, but yeah. I love life.
I'm always for
too.
something that will make Kelly appreciate me more.
Really? I think men tend to feel that way. It's kind of interesting, and I don't want to look at me, I don't want to genderize, but I also think that it's a balancing act. So here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to tell you my secret.
Okay.
My secret is the more I love and respect myself, and the more I do kind things for myself and think nice things for myself, the better my husband treats me. There, now it's out. My whole secret is out.
There you go.
Bingo.
Yourself.
Yep.
Yep.
And you're in my relationship, my spouse just picked up on that, and yeah. So I took care of what inside of me was out of balance and was not very kind to me. And then he comes along, and we're good.
Yeah.
Over the moon.
Well, Vivian, let's go over some specifics about your book, the release date, and we'll bring up the image of the book here. So talk to us about specifics, where it's available, and how they can go about finding out more information.
Yeah, right now it's in Kindle form. So Amazon.com is the best place to go
So you can get it
to get
through
that.
ebook already.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon?
You can get it through ebook already,
Effective August 26th.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes. Effective August 26th. It'll be going into ebook, and then it'll take us probably a couple of weeks to get it into hardcover.
Okay.
The consultants I'm working with are teaching me how to do that. And so, you can also go to vivianprobst.com, and you'll see a big flashing banner with the cover on, and you can pre-order the book there as well. But it'll be an Amazon book, and we'll see what happens from there.
Cool.
So we're just in the startup phase, but the 26th is launch date.
Perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You're both so awesome.
Aw, thanks.
Thank
So
you.
are you.
This is much fun.
Yeah.
We need
Good.
more fun in our lives,
Yes,
don't
we
we?
do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Well, let's party on the 26th.
Yes.
There you go.
There
That
we go.
is, as we go through all these struggles now, and when we talk about women's suffrage and how long and the persistence behind a basic human right is what I just don't get. And we're still struggling with that today. There's people that are being, their rights are being vacantized, and I just, but this speaks volumes to that.
Yes, it does.
Your book coming out in conjunction with the
Everything
women's
else
rights
that's
to
going
vote,
on.
and it's so this.
I like that, Bill. It speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Because I've got
Literally
volumes.
and figuratively. Well, that's
I
so
agree.
funny.
I agree. It's time for our world to open its arms wide to all of us.
Yes.
Right.
Because we're all special. We're all important.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I love it.
You preach it, I'll turn the pages.
You sound
Yep.
Oh,
Yep, definitely.
go.
Vivian, we can't tell you how much we appreciate
yes.
this.
Thank
Always
you.
a treat to have on the show, and can't wait till we can get the book and start reading. So,
pre-order.
All right.
Pre-order now.
yes.
Pre-order now.
All the information will be up on your screen, and also along when the video drops, which will be close to the date and later on this
we'll
August.
have all this
and-
information up there
Yep.
for everybody so they can get the books.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Vivian, at this point we need to probably wrap up the show
Yes.
and tell you again how much we appreciate you
love you.
and your work. And yes, we love you. We
Yes.
love all of
Oh,
you. So,
back at you.
yeah, we can't
It's
wait.
all we
till-
really need, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
One of our goals is we just can't wait till this pandemic goes away, because we would love to meet all the people that we've done Zoom meetings with and Zoom shows, and
I just
you're
want to
one
have
of
a
them.
big hug
Yeah,
fest.
yeah.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
I just want to be able
I
to
am so
touch
with you.
And,
Yes.
and tell my friends how much I love them.
I'm so over this pandemic.
Yeah, me too.
I just, oh,
I'm
man.
ready for reality.
Yeah. It'll
Yes.
when it's
It
over.
is- I want
make
Rod
us appreciate
Serling
it.
to show up and say this has just been an episode of The Twilight Zone.
Yes. Oh. It was a long nightmare, but we've
That's
woken
right.
up.
Yep, I'm waiting for that.
And Bill Shatner will be in it somehow.
That's right, somehow.
Like he was in many of those.
Yes, he was,
So
actually.
he started his career. So, well, with that, before we get
Yes.
branched into Star Trek and everything else, we will probably wrap this up. Vivian, have a wonderful day. We can't wait till we can actually meet you in person. And we'll say, everyone, please stay safe and remember to be kind to your neighbor. And we'll say goodbye.
And pre-order
for now.
the book.
And pre-order the book.
Excellent.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye, thank you. This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by Brown Insurance Group has been providing coverage to municipalities, companies, and individuals in the region for over 73 years. As a partner of the Keystone Insurers Group, we are able to offer an extensive line of insurance products and services, from commercial services including employee benefits and liability insurance, to personal services such as home, auto, watercraft, and motorcycle coverage. We are also committed to our community. We support many charities and events in the region. Our core values of care and integrity since the inception of Brown Insurance Group has made us one of Indiana's most respected and valued insurance agencies. To make an appointment with one of our experienced specialists, call our Highland Insurance office at 219-972-6060. Brown Insurance Group. Small town values, big time resources. Going beyond expectations to protect you and yours.